Now in this last part, part 9, what's inside the Ethiopian Bible, the missing years of Jesus and more. Okay, so we've talked about how the Ethiopian Bible was sidelined, why it was too powerful for the Western world, and how it miraculously survived centuries of religious gatekeeping. But now let's really get into it. Let's crack open the Ethiopian Bible and peek inside. Spoiler alert, it's nothing like what you grew up reading in church. Over 81 books, compared to 66 in the King James Version. Yep, you heard right. The Ethiopian Bible has more than 81 books, while your typical King James Version has just 66. That means over 15 extra books that were deliberately left out of Western Bibles, many of them packed with spiritual insight, mysterious prophecies, and ancient knowledge. So what are these lost books and what do they say? Let's look at a few standouts. The Book of Enoch, the wildest story never told. This one will blow your mind. The Book of Enoch dives into ancient times when fallen angels came to earth, taught humans technology, weapon making, astrology, and then, wait for it, had children with human women. These hybrid children became giants called Nephilim. Yes, the same ones referenced briefly in Genesis chapter 6, verse 4, but barely explained. So why was Enoch removed from the Western canon? Simple. It was just too strange, too mystical, too supernatural, and too revealing about divine beings, cosmic order, and the battle between good and evil. But guess what? Ethiopia never dropped it. They've been reading it, studying it, and preserving it for generations. The Book of Jubilees, the real Genesis, expanded. If you thought the Genesis you knew was complete, think again. The Book of Jubilees is like the director's cut of Genesis and Exodus. It expands on the stories of Adam, Noah, Abraham, Jacob, and more, giving timelines, secret covenants, and a divine calendar the West never embraced. It also introduces celestial beings, angelic mediators, and a hidden understanding of creation and time. Missing years of Jesus. What did he do from age 12 to 30? Let's be honest, the Bible skips a huge chunk of Jesus' life. From age 12 when he speaks in the temple to age 30 when he begins his ministry, silence. That's 18 years completely unaccounted for in the Standard Bible. But the Ethiopian biblical traditions, along with oral traditions and other preserved ancient texts, fill in some of the blanks. Some claim Jesus traveled to Egypt and Ethiopia to learn spiritual law. He studied ancient mysteries from priests and sages. He walked with Ethiopian monks and Egyptian mystics. He prepared for his divine mission not in isolation, but among African wisdom keepers. While Western scholars often ignore these claims, the Ethiopian Church has held on to these stories for centuries. The Book of the Shepherd of Hermas, spiritual discipline and prophecy, this lesser-known text reads like an ancient Christian self-help guide. It covers repentance, humility, fasting, and deep visions of angels and the end times. It was widely read by early Christians and even considered canonical by early church fathers like Irenaeus. But later councils dropped it, not because it wasn't holy, but because it didn't align with growing institutional power structures. Again, Ethiopia kept it. The Kebra Nagast, Ethiopia's royal spiritual epic. This book isn't technically part of the Ethiopian Bible, but it is considered sacred in Ethiopian Orthodox tradition. It tells the story of Queen of Sheba and King Solomon, their divine connection, and the birth of their son Menelik I, who is believed to have brought the Ark of the Covenant to Ethiopia. Yes, the actual Ark. If true, that would make Ethiopia the spiritual home of not just Christianity, but the very presence of God on earth. So, spiritual knowledge that empowers... Let's talk about that for a moment. The extra books in the Ethiopian Bible aren't just random side stories. They're actually powerful texts that really shift the way we understand faith. They teach us that God's Spirit has always been among the African people. And, you know, that divine wisdom didn't come from Europe. It flowed from the Nile, the highlands, the Horn of Africa. That spiritual practice is about justice, mercy, humility, and knowing one's divine purpose, not just blind obedience. So, why hide these books? Well, because knowledge is power. And for centuries, colonial powers didn't want Africans, or honestly the rest of the world, connecting the dots that, Christianity didn't begin in Rome. The white Jesus story was political, not historical. Africans were not pagans before colonization. They were deeply spiritual people, some of whom held sacred knowledge older than the Vatican itself. The legacy today is still very much alive. Even now, the Ethiopian Orthodox Church continues to use these books in liturgy, teachings, and worship. Pilgrims travel to ancient monasteries in places like Lalibela and Aksum just to connect with these holy texts. And now, with digitization and this growing global interest in ancient African history, the world is finally waking up to what Ethiopia has preserved all along. This isn't just history, this is revelation. If this blew your mind or opened your eyes even a little bit, do not keep it to yourself. Like this video, share it with friends, drop a comment with what surprised you the most, and subscribe to stay locked in as we continue to uncover more hidden truths from African history, ancient spirituality, and the stories they never wanted you to know. This is just the beginning. Africa is rising, the truth is rising, and together we're reclaiming what was ours all along.